Hello, BookTube, and welcome back to Amour, BookTube event created by the Bookish Bryants. This is one of their string of events designed to celebrate some particular genre or type of book. And this one, as you can tell from the title, is all about romance fiction, which is a genre that I initially started being dismissive and snobbish about, like some of you might be right now. And I had my eyes open to it, thankfully, by a romance reader and a romance writer, and have had such a blast with romance ever since. It's as I put it, an active part of my reading diet. Every month, I read the major new releases in romance, as many of them as I can get my hands on. There's far more of them than there are of any other kind of new release. Romance is the most popular genre of fiction that is being published, and it has held that number one spot for 170 years. So it's not going anywhere. It's by far the best-selling genre of any. So even me, I do nothing but read, and I read really fast. Even I can't get to every romance in any given month, but I did quite a bit this month. And in addition to doing quite a bit of mainstream new releases from Avon or St. Martin's or Harper or whatever, I also did a huge amount of rummaging around for reading. I went exploring along romance themes. Unfortunately for my co-hosts, my themes were pretty unruly. They did not really coincide with many of the prompts for Amour. But I'm consoling myself in the way that I always do, with the fact that I made 10 times as many videos. so maybe I get to wander afield now and then. And I went far afield. Oh, BookTube. We encountered some things for Amour, did we not? We encountered the Omegaverse, where there are men, and then there are men, and then there are breeding men. There are men who can get knocked up and pregnant, and then deliver the baby out their poop chute. so that in the very worst, I think, most toxic exponents of the Omegaverse, there's no need for women at all. Not even for conversation's sake. It can be an entirely male world, and still have the drama of childbirth, the heartwarming stories about having family, only without you buying a baby from the Korean market or whatever. Instead, it's your own seed. Like I mentioned when we were talking about the Omegaverse, I think there's some really unhealthy stuff crawling around just under the surface of the Omegaverse. But some of the books are written with tremendous energy, especially, as I mentioned, when the writer in question wants to sort of explain how the Omegaverse might happen. How it works. Not just the birth canal, but how it affects society and all. In other words, world building. I'm not 100% sure that it's a world that should be built, but still, I find that fascinating. And we also encountered gay romances between twin brothers. the apparently thriving romance subgenre known as twincest. And I read a few of those. I read sister-sister romances, brother-brother romances, and also twin romances, twincest romances. And I'm not saying that all the books were bad. Again, I have my doubts about some of the Freudian underbaggage going on, but it was a brand new world, and some of it was still enjoyable. And in the course of Amour, there was one other subgenre of romance that I read and came to know. And I confess, since we're all friends here, I confess that in the month of September, it was probably my favorite new ground for reading experience. And what I'm talking about here is, of course, tentacle romance. I'm talking about tentacle romance. So I thought, for Amour, last night, I knew that today was going to be my last Amour video of 2022. What's the trouble, baby? Huh? What's the trouble? Do you want to get down? Do you want to come down here? Oh. Oh, there you go. No, she's gone all the way down. Okay. Where was I? Oh, yes. I bet you were wishing I didn't remember. I thought that for the end of Amour, I would go back to tentacle romance. So I read two more last night. The first one is by Nick Valentine. Again, I'm suspecting that is not the author's real name. It's called Ambushed. And the subscription on the cover is, well, the tagline on the cover, I'm not sure that it's part of the title, but it pretty much sums up Tentacle Romance. The tagline on the cover is, "My lover is an alien squid." My lover is an alien squid. And there you have the main character. I'm assuming this is the main character. The main character is a guy named Harrison, who has a job minding a wind farm. Get your mind out of the gutter. He has a job minding a wind farm. When he is minding his own business, when he encounters an alien spacecraft, as a crashed alien stranded on Earth, and that alien has abundant tentacles, as most aliens do. Let's remember the alien in Independence Day, for instance, had tentacles. Nobody's accusing that of being tentacle porn. This alien needs to repair its ship, especially the power cells of its ship. So it needs a lot of the power source that brings those power cells to life and would allow this alien to escape Earth and go back home. And that power source is biological? That power source is biological energy that this technology can then transfer. It's getting on. It's getting it on, Boot. that power source is getting it on. It's Shaorumi. It's Thumpa Thumpa. So the more of that energy that can be produced, the better things are. Now, I will say, oh God, I will say that Nick Valentine doesn't lay on the schmaltz too much here. I mean, I have come to understand, God help me, tentacle romance just a bit. I've come to expect some of its patterns, to predict it in some ways. And in some ways, you are expecting that what starts out as a simple battery exchange will gradually transform into a relationship. And Nick Valentine pays his readers, I think, the compliment of not laying that on a little too thick. There's only so far you can go into Sense and Sensibility territory if your subscription is "My lover is an alien squid." So I wasn't really expecting that. I got from this book, I think, exactly what I was supposed to get from it. It certainly I got from it what it spends the most of its time trying to give me. And in that sense, well, I was going to say 2 thumbs up, but that's so limited when you're talking about alien squid. And then there was the other book that I read, and believe it or not, this is the book I am going to wrap up August Amour 2022 with. It's by Rex Handler. Again, I'm assuming that's a pen name. And it's an officer and a tentacle. It's an officer and a tentacle. The officer in question is Officer Ryder. Again, get your mind out of the gutter, or maybe just leave it there, since that's clearly where the author wants it to be. He is flying his spaceship home from his latest mission when he experiences difficulties in the Xerxes Nebula. Those of you who are maybe pricked up your ears a bit because you're thinking, hey, well, I don't know about this tentacle business. I don't know about romance just in general, but that sounds like science fiction. There are the trappings and suits of science fiction here, but nothing in the way of world building. There's nothing. Let's just say the only thing that's fleshed out in this novel is the tentacles, not any of the world building. The author, again, as a kind of implicit compliment to the reader, really doesn't even try that much. Instead, Officer Ryder finds himself stranded on an alien planet, and there are creatures that are already there. One in particular that takes a real liking to him, such a liking to him that creature cannot possibly be accused of xenophobia. Xenophilia, far more like it. And an officer in a tentacle was wonderful. It was wonderful. And that ends my August Amour. I'm ending on a book called An Officer and a Tentacle. And I had a blast. So I apologize to no one. The next logical step here is for me to write a tentacle romance of my own. I don't think I'm going to do that just because the kind of scene that seems to be the raison d'etre of tentacle romance is not the kind of scene that I feel comfortable writing or that I think can be done well. I admit that in some of the scenes that I've encountered along those lines this month, there was at least a lot of energy, but ultimately I think such scenes end up being kind of boring. It turns out I always thought that about those scenes when it was between a human and a human. It turns out I think that way anyway, even if there's only one human in the equation. So that is how I'm wrapping up August Amour. I read a lot of romances in August, or in September rather, Autumn Amour. I can't believe it. I ended the event in the same way I started it, by misnaming it. It was Autumn Amour, not August Amour. And I'm hoping that the Bookish Bryants do this event next year. And I'm hoping that by then, the outrage is worn off to the point where they will go back to taking my phone calls. Because I want to be a part of it. But in the meantime, I think, unless I have an addiction that I don't know about, I think I'm going to relinquish tentacle romances for the month of October. October is loaded with mainstream romances anyway. I don't think I'm going to have the time to read any of the tentacle romances that a half a dozen of you have been sending me by the heap load. So we shall see. Maybe I'll work in one or two here and there. But anyway, that's it for August Amour. I'd love to hear how you did. Did you read a romance in not August Amour, Autumn Amour? Did you read a romance in September? I'd love to know. I'd love to hear about it. And I'm hoping, tentacle or no tentacle, that I get invited to the Bookish Bryant's next genre fest, whatever it may be. Anyway, I will wrap this up, but I will see you soon. Thank you, BookTube.